Justin Baldoni's character and Blake Lively's character are slow dancing, and this was part of the courting process of the two characters in the movie.
I'm both a fan of Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, okay, from the beginning of their career.
Blake said there was a scene they filmed in which she felt sexually harassed.
What happened to the lawsuit, right? When the original complaint came out, we saw Blake's side of this.
Right.
Which painted one picture.
The legal battle between Justin Baldoni and Blake has escalated, with recent HR complaints revealing what many view as Blake's team's aggressive tactics. As internal complaints and leaked documents surface, the focus has shifted from the original allegations to a fight for credibility. It appears Blake's strategy may be backfiring as new details emerge.
You were a little bit skeptical. Then, when Blake dropped her suit, she had so many specific, detailed complaints of sexual harassment that occurred on set. So we obviously believe her, and we read it.
And coupled with all the
Yes.
super cringy, like self-grandizing content.
Yeah.
I think that helped a lot.
It did. It did. And
which is
now,
ironically what happened to Blake the first time when all these interviews of her being rude came out and you're like, oh, I believe it.
Exactly.
So we have to be careful.
We do.
Personally, I've been right, and I think will continue to be right.
Okay.
I'm going to watch this with an open mind, though.
With B-Don standing firm, armed with evidence and legal support, Blake's amended complaints and recent HR filings seem to be raising more questions than providing answers. Is this a genuine effort for justice or a strategic move to salvage a failing case? Fans, legal experts, and industry insiders are weighing in, and the consensus isn't favorable for Blake's side.
Plaintiff Blake Lively brings this lawsuit because she was unlawfully retaliated against for coming forward and reporting sexual harassment that occurred against her and others. And others is an important thing there. We know there were those HR complaints that just got leaked, but they seem very fake. On the set of It Ends With Us, defendant Wayfair Studios is the owner of the film. Justin Baldoni is the co-chairman. We all know this stuff, so I'm going to skim over this a little bit. Okay. For years prior to the release of the film, Mr. Baldoni portrayed himself as a leader of the male feminist movement, writing books, hosting podcasts, and holding TED Talks on the topic.
Blake's legal team made headlines by unexpectedly amending the original lawsuit. While the move was framed as a necessary adjustment, many view it as a response to Baldoni leaking footage that contradicts her claims. The leaked clips reportedly show behind-the-scenes moments that undermine Blake's accusations of misconduct, raising doubts about her motives. Legal experts argue that amending a lawsuit midway often signals that the original claims couldn't withstand scrutiny, suggesting Blake's team may be scrambling to find a new strategy in the case.
Justin Baldoni's character and Blake Lively's character are slow dancing, and this was part of the courting process of the two characters in the movie. And she, in her original complaint, said that he was often breaking character, and it was him who was there in that scene as Justin, not as his character Ryle, and that he was often doing things that were not part of the story or part of the script and making her uncomfortable by getting a little too intimate as himself. So now let's look at the leaked footage to see what the behaviors actually suggest. Oh, and for regular viewers of the channel, stick around till the end of the video because I have a really important announcement. But for right now, let's take it from the top.
Like a couple cues of like they score. Just so everyone else around us is having a moment.
But is it as rambunctious as it was earlier on?
No, it's never going to be because we're in slow.
This is her talking as Blake, right? This is Blake giving Justin suggestions. She can't reasonably expect him to respond as Ryle, but then to be fair to her and see it from her angle, her insisting that they talk more could be her way of saying, I'm not as comfortable with intimacy in this moment. I'd rather this scene be, or at least I thought this scene was going to be more about talking and dancing. So we could see that, especially when at some point she spins and starts engaging with one of the extras. And this is something that I always look for when I'm trying to gauge stress or nervousness. And we see this in poker games a lot, or in all kinds of games of deception.
3 HR complaints have surfaced as part of Blake's defense strategy, but instead of bolstering her case, they've been met with skepticism. Critics and fans alike are questioning the timing, noting that the complaints only emerged after Baldoni's legal team released damaging evidence. While Blake's team argues they point to a pattern of inappropriate behavior, others view them as a desperate attempt to divert attention from the growing evidence against her.
I'm both a fan of Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, okay, from the beginning of their career. And I found this entire lawsuit very, very interesting. And I'm learning about PR, I'm learning about filmmaking, I'm learning about so many different things. And it's a very interesting type of drama and pop culture that is helping us to expose a lot of things, right? Now, we are going to be breaking down the HR complaints, and there's 3 of them. Now, because, like I said, they have been redacted, complainant is clearly traumatized. In her verbal account of incident, director Justin Baldoni approached complainant and asked her to speak privately. He asked complainant if she has ever had an orgasm on camera. She asked why this is necessary to know. Oh, this is Isabella Ferreira, by the way. So this is Isabella Ferreira. That's what I've concluded anyway. She asks why this is necessary to know since a climax is not scripted in the scene. Baldoni then leans close to complainant's face and whispered, "I think we should go ahead and add it in. Show me what you got." End quote. Complainant did not feel she had the authority to decline. Complainant told Baldoni she did not want to do the scene.
In response to the HR allegations, Baldoni's legal team didn't simply deny the claims. They came prepared with detailed evidence to refute Blake's accusations. Emails, production notes, and even video footage suggest that many of Blake's claims are either exaggerated or outright contradictory. One leaked document reveals that Blake allegedly approved certain scenes and decisions she later deemed problematic in her lawsuit, an inconsistency that's raising serious doubts about her credibility.
Blake said there was a scene they filmed in which she felt sexually harassed. He has that scene, and he included it. We can watch that scene.
Yep. In fact, in Blake's suit, she stated that it was a muted scene, so we didn't have audio of what was taking place. And she says that he said something very specific, which he does. Yes.
Oh,
he
so
was
we have
laughed up.
Wow. Dude, you never get this. This is crazy. You get all the details. You go, oh, I've sexualized during this unaired scene. Here it is with audio. Yeah. Wow.
Sources close to the production suggest that Blake's HR complaints are less about addressing workplace issues and more about damage control, as Baldoni gains traction in both public and industry circles. Blake's team is reportedly going to great lengths to shift the narrative. However, as more insiders speak out, the consensus is clear. These tactics may be doing more harm than good for Blake's case.
The original complaint came out, we saw Blake's side of this.
Right.
Which painted one picture.
Right.
And then we started to see Justin's side over time when he finally filed his suits. The first one was against the New York Times, and then secondly, he filed against Blake and Ryan.
But they were like $250 million suits or something.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? And there's multiple causes of action, and we'll see who wins on what.
So he's suing the New York Times.
Correct.
For false information or something, right?
Yeah.
What is he suing them for?
So defamation, false light, which is very similar. I also think that there was a promissory fraud in there as well, because if you look at the facts, I don't know if I'm putting that to sleep.
No. Honestly, I love all this stuff.
It's oddly mirroring the Drake lawsuit.
What's
He's suing everybody too.
And then they're also suing him Blake is suing him for sexual harassment and retaliation.
I saw that.
So just to recap, because we jumped right into this, from my interpretation, because I really am just picking scraps from tabloids and news
like
articles
I do
here
in
and
the
there.
trash.
Yeah, just like I do in the neighborhood.
What I'm nosing through the trash.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong. They made this movie together. Okay.
Yes.
Wait, allegedly.
What is it?
No.
They actually made the movie.
You get carried away with the alleged. They allegedly made this movie.
Just because
and remember, this isn't financial advice. This is just my opinion. They allegedly did everything.
But if you do want some financial advice, go buy gold with Roslyn Capital. No, I'm kidding. This gets really weird.
Legal experts and media commentators are openly labeling Blake's approach as desperate. Filing HR complaints this late, after being publicly confronted with evidence, makes it seem like Blake's team is grasping at straws to maintain momentum. Rather than reinforcing her claims, this move appears to be a last-ditch attempt to regain public sympathy and legal leverage, but so far, it's falling flat.
Plaintiff Blake Lively brings this action for damages against Wayfarer Studios, Justin Baldoni, etc. We already know that. Introduction. It's a quote. It starts with a quote from Justin Baldoni's podcast. Ooh.
So, give me the context here. Is this like a thing that replaces the original document?
It's like it's like it adds more to it.
So we're replacing the original document, but we don't know what is from the original and what's new. We just have to read it to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, I read the first one a long time ago, but I don't want to make people wait too long. So let's read a little bit. Let's see. So this is a quote from Justin Baldoni's podcast. Are you confident enough to listen to the women in your life, to hear their ideas and their solutions? Oh, I can already tell this is such a bitchy thing to. Okay. So far in this document, just in the opener, the attention grabby part of the document, I feel like Blake's lawyer, did his job worth the amount that he was paid, but. I still don't believe it because of all the stuff that's come out and because of all the contradictions in Blake's initial complaint versus Justin's. Anyways. Number 5, at his own moment of truth, when forced to confront women he had made uncomfortable on his own set, he trivialized their concerns and failed to take accountability for the effects of his behavior, whether intended or not. And when faced with the predictable consequences of having created a toxic set,
Justin Baldoni's legal team escalated the situation with an 86-page lawsuit detailing Blake's alleged attempts to manipulate the legal process. The document outlines how Blake's team reportedly pushed false narratives while suppressing contradictory evidence. For many observers, the lawsuit highlights a stark contrast between Baldoni's thorough, evidence-based approach and Blake's reactionary, inconsistent tactics.
Concerning their alleged orchestration of a smear campaign targeting Blake Lively, purportedly in response to Lively's disclosure of concerns about the working environment on the set of It Ends With Us, the film. I do want to mention quickly here, I'm not illiterate, but sometimes, baby, I'm glitching, alright? It's 9 in the goddamn morning, babes. My English ain't Englishing until about noon. So maybe I should have filmed this at noon, but unfortunately, this is the only time I have right now to film. So, yeah, I'm not slow, but I'm a little bit slow. So just bear with me and stop cussing me out, innit? Like, you guys make it seem like you know every single word in the dictionary, babes. You can't even spend bitch because you're not her. You're not that bitch, period. Alright, all jokes aside, though, if I mispronounce certain things, you know what I mean, so stop it. The film's production company, Wayfarer, its principals, Baldoni, and Heath. But hey, I will say this though. Blake Lively is trying to say that Justin Baldoni and his camp was doing this whole smear campaign. Baby, it didn't need to take Justin Baldoni to do it. It had already begun. It had already begun from when you decided to promote other products and lines that you have instead of talking about a film that you chose to be a part of, right? As one of the lead actresses for the show, for the film, about domestic violence. That was something that you didn't do a great job at, and that's something that you were rightfully called out for. Whether it's people who are survivors of domestic violence, or whether it's people who maybe have no personal relation to that, but still felt like you did a trash job at promoting something that was supposed to be insightful.
Once known as Hollywood sweetheart, Blake is now facing widespread skepticism within the industry. Production insiders and former colleagues are distancing themselves, with some suggesting her attempts to weaponize HR processes are damaging her reputation. As Baldoni gains support for standing his ground, Blake's once loyal fan base is beginning to crack, with many expressing disappointment in how she's handling the situation.
A negative story in Daily Mail title is Blake Lively set to be cancelled. Lively's portrayal is categorically false, misleading and devoid of factual basis, yet knowingly endorsed by the Times, which claimed to have reviewed thousands of pages of text messages and emails. The smear campaign hinges on an August 16th text exchange in which Nathan allegedly shared a link to this article with Abel. The text exchange shows Abel responding, "Wow," followed by, "You really outdid yourself with this one," to which Nathan allegedly replied, "That's why you hired me, right? I'm the best." The message constitutes the entirety of the purported evidence underlying the allegations of a smear campaign orchestrated on behalf of Baldoni.
Public opinion has become a crucial factor in this lawsuit, with social media platforms flooded with opinions, memes, and analysis. While Blake's team hoped the HR complaints would shift the narrative, they've instead sparked widespread backlash, with many accusing her of using HR as a weapon rather than a shield. Although the court of public opinion won't decide the legal outcome, it's undeniably shaping how both sides are viewed in Hollywood and beyond.
You know, Blake Lively would have included this in her lawsuit against Justin Baldoni. This would have been part of her complaint. I've read all of the complaints, every word of every lawsuit. This was not included. I mean, just read. People! This reads like really bad fan fiction. Apparently, 3 hours later, Baldoni approached complainant and stated he was sorry they got off on the wrong foot. Complainant stated she replied, "You got off all right, but it had nothing to do with your feet." Dun dun dun! What is believed to be Blake Lively's car. Drop that receipt, baby. Drop that receipt. Show us the video. There is no video of this in her car. It didn't happen. That is what my impeccable sources tell me. Then he allegedly belittled Blake Lively, mocking her for dealing with hormones. Come on! I'm not a huge Justin Baldoni fan. I think he is real extra a lot of the times. But do you think he would really publicly mock Blake Lively for being hormonal?
With both sides digging in, the next stages of this legal battle are set to be intense. Baldoni's strategy of focusing on facts and evidence appears to be paying off, while Blake's reactive moves are attracting growing criticism. Industry insiders believe that unless Blake's team can present concrete, verifiable proof to support their claims, this battle could end with a major win for Baldoni.
Justin Baldoni is suing Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds for $400 million.
I want to know how he came up with that number.
Me too.
I mean, his legal team was probably like, how much can we rack out of them? I mean, the movie itself made $350 million, so I almost wonder if it's like that money plus just some little sprinkle in there. But he is suing for defamation and for extortion. And
extortion?
Extortion. This entire lawsuit, like, my jaw was on the ground. I felt like every paragraph, every news section was just like another piece, honestly, of hot gossip. I would have gone into law had I known that law was just gossip all day, where you're just talking about things that happen in people's lives.
The release of HR complaints and Blake Lively's amended lawsuit reveal a legal strategy many are calling desperate and disingenuous. What was initially framed as a quest for justice now seems, to many, like a frantic attempt to regain control of a rapidly spiraling situation.
Noted several unsettling experiences with her collaborator, boss, and director Justin Baldoni. On redacted, complaint was in her car with driver redacted and Mr. Baldoni. He started talking about how he had been severely addicted to pornography and had sexual encounters where he didn't have to take for an answer. He didn't take no for an answer, or quote, did not receive consent, end quote, when asking for it, but quote, he did not let that stop him, end of quote.
Justin Baldoni, armed with documents, footage, and strong legal backing, has positioned himself as the voice of reason, while Blake's team faces growing criticism for what many view as a failed smear campaign. As Hollywood and fans weigh in, it's clear that Blake's approach is not only under legal scrutiny, but also under the public's microscope. With careers, reputations, and millions at stake, the final outcome of this lawsuit could reshape how both stars are perceived going forward. At this rate, Baldoni isn't just winning in court, he's also winning the battle for the narrative.